Good evening, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. Last week we had a pretty poor Death and Taxes stream with most of my rounds not really mattering or having many meaningful decision points. Legion Angel looked good in about 2 games. That is the 2 games that I actually cast it. So I figured I'd go ahead and give that a try for one more league and see how it felt. I think I'm pretty much running the same deck list as last week, except I'm going to try swapping out a Recruiter for a Legion Angel. Just get like 2 of those in the main deck so that I can have one more sideboard slot to work with. And this Recruiter of the Guard is currently representing my sideboard card. I wanted to kind of like go live and then figure out what I wanted to do with this last slot. So the D&T build that I've been experimenting with has been playing Luminarch Aspirants, which have been pretty good for me. I've been really, really happy with them. So I want to continue to test those, and I'm just kind of mucking around with the other slots to see what is and isn't viable. Evening, Jankophile. Hope all is well. Hey, Fine and Andy. So, I was thinking that maybe this is my flex slot. I was thinking that maybe this should just become something like a council's judgment. Just overloading on answers to Oko is certainly not a bad idea. Like, it's not the worst to just keep it as the recruiter that I currently have there, because like that finds apparition. You know what? Maybe I'll just leave that slot. And I'll think to myself, what would I want this to be in this league? Yeah, maybe I won't adjust it. So I made 2 changes to the main deck. I subbed in a Legion Angel for a Recruiter of the Guard, and I just pulled the Phyrexian Revoker out of the deck to play the 4th Stoneforge Mystic. I want to see how it feels, just having a slightly greater density of 2-drops that I want to be casting on turn 2. Again, I don't really think this list is optimal or anything like that. We're trying out ideas, and I think I bombed my last league, so I'm going to have to open a couple of chests real quick. Yeah, no play points. Hope you all are having a good evening. Been playing a lot of Axiom, or not Axiom Verge. I've been playing a lot of Neon Abyss today. Picked that up this afternoon. Really fun sort of Metroidvania roguelite sort of game. Ooh, a worship. Alright, there we finally hit on a decent chunk of play points. V9, aspirant adjusted. Let's just hop into a league here, see how it feels. No, Fine and Andy. Those are on my immediate to play list. So what? There's Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and something else. Yeah, those are on there. And Owlboy and Cuphead. Those are probably the things that are floating towards the top of my to-play list right now. Ori and the Will-O-Wisps. Yes, that's the other one. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Veil of Summer. It's a hell of a drug. It's not good against everything, but when it is good, boy, is it good. Yeah, so Neon Abyss has like this awesome, awesome soundtrack and just really crisp, really smooth gameplay. Played 4 or 5 runs this afternoon. Just a nice, just feel good roguelite. So like sometimes you're bashing your head into the wall at the difficulty of them, and they're like not super fun when you're first playing. But this one was just like super accessible. This hand does literally nothing. We will mulligan it. This hand is pretty good. We'll throw back the Flicker Wisp without Vial. It's the least impressive card here. This is just an old school D&T hand. Like, we have some lands, we have a couple of decent 2-drops, that's it. We're going to get the Thalia into play ASAP. JK. Thalia traded for a Jace and another card, though, so, like, that's totally fine. Right on time. I think this first one is going to get a Batter Skull, since I do have a second one that can get me my sword. No, we saw them pitch Jace the Mind Sculptor. I very much think this is like Snoko or something of that ilk. Marsh Flats is a little interesting. We might be floating a little bit closer towards like a Blue-White Miracles deck. Oh, they Narcited for a Narcit. Yeah, but that was really more of a sideboard thing. It super sucks to really have to cast this here for tempo-based reasons. Waiting another turn so it's uncounterable off the Vial is like very much better. Well, that's not really where I'm at. Very Conclave, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. Very much appreciated. Hopefully I will give you some sweet matches tonight in exchange for your support. Alright, so we're playing against a Blade deck. In which case it's actually quite bad that I am playing this over Sword of Fire and Ice in the main deck. Hello and welcome. Alright, so I get to hit them. They'll discard a card. I get to untap my lands. I think I'm just supposed to play the other Vial and pass the turn holding up 3 mana to bounce a Batterskull if that's something that needs to happen. Yep. I think my opponent's sequencing this turn, and more generally in this game, is not the best. But I think I'm just going to get brickwalled by a True Name Nemesis, and it's not going to matter. I think I'm just looking to try and kill them. To the handful of you that have followed in the last couple of minutes, thank you very much for your support. Focusing a little bit on this game right now. Trying not to flip back and forth between too many screens. The Teferi bouncing my Batterskull is going to be a little annoying in this turn cycle. Swords to Plowshare is also quite rough. And my opponent can do both of them because Astrolabe reasons. Okay, they're just going to bounce the Germ instead. We'll have a Violet 3, we'll have a Violet 2. Okay. Well, I guess I could just equip. Equip, one gets Swords to Plowshares, one gets blocked. No, I think I need to generate more bodies. The attacks in this turn aren't particularly good, so we'll just go ahead and wait that out. I believe that this Stoneforge is going to get Swords to Plowshared in this turn cycle. Nope. Why? Why? You prefer good plays over noticing subs? Alright, I like the sound of that. Cool. Again, I just want to point out the egregious sequencing error that just happened there. If I had Skyclave Apparition in my hand, I got to take the Jace before that Jace got to Brainstorm because my opponent decided to Teferi Plus instead of use their Jace. Okay, I'm done being mad. But, like, holy crap. Send it all in. One of these two gets Swords to Plowshared, the other gets blocked. And at some point I use a Flicker Wisp to try and kill my opponent. Alright. Looks good. So now in their second main phase, I'll Flicker Wisp the Batterskull, and then I, like, very, very, very much have lethal. Fetching at that life total is rather brave. A Batterskull. See? Because of Flicker Wisp wording, if I want to be attacking with a Batterskull Germ token, I need to also make sure that it comes back. I do a pump fake here. Alright, Flicker Wisp on its own represents lethal this turn. Unless my opponent has another Swords to Plowshares. Which I saw them use this. In the case that they do have Swords to Plowshares, is there anything else that I want to be doing? Say I have Swords to Plowshares, they Swords to Plowshares this, then equip this here, and I have a real problem. I don't know that I beat that. Bear, take a look at the deck list. That's not going to work. I do have it. That's unfortunate. Alright, probably lose. I actually don't think I'm supposed to use my mana. Am I just like suiciding things in to kill planeswalkers? I think I have to. I'm not gonna aggro close this game out anymore. Into play, thank you very much for the raid. For those of you just joining in, hi, I'm Phil Gallagher, I run ThrabenU. Today we're playing Death and Taxes. We have been paired against a blue-white Stoneblade deck from the looks of things. Alright. It's really frustrating that I had this game closed like 8 different ways if I wasn't testing Sword of Feast and Famine main deck for the sake of testing it. Doing the little things right here. You activate Stoneforge Mystic, you hold priority. In response, you put on a Stoneforge Mystic. That way, you can't just randomly get got by a removal spell on the first Stoneforge Mystic, stopping your piece of equipment from getting into play. I also don't really understand what they're brainstorm looking for there. Everything about this is just incredibly awkward. Let's send this at Teferi. Let's send this at the Narset. And I'm going to send that at them. And you can figure out what you want to do about that. The fourth Swords to Plowshares effect. I think I'm gonna throw in the towel here. I think my opponent's true name plus Planeswalker plus removal spells to chip away at the tail end of my board is enough that I'd rather just go to the post sideboard games. I like the idea of Sanctum Prelate on 1 quite a bit. I like the Recruiter, and I like one more Apparition. I don't really like Swords to Plowshares. I will probably call that good. Yeah, I mean, there's literally no way I lose that first game if this is Sword of Fire and Ice. And it's also rough that I talked about like maybe swapping in a Council's Judgment, and then I get paired against the True Name Nemesis deck, which is not popular. But you know, that's Legacy. The card pool is wide. We have 5 flyers. We don't actually care that much about the True Name Nemesis itself. It's when it gets paired with equipment that there's actually a problem. Arkin, I wouldn't say that Legion is great. Legion Angel was interesting last week. It was very good in 2 games where like we stuck it into play and then we chained 3 or 4 of them together. If I keep this hand and I get Force of Willed, I lose on the spot. This is a very good go long hand. I am going to keep this. Good. That's an incredibly awkward draw. Yes, if they have force, they force 100% of the time. Wow. Tundra? I have Wasteland on board? Do you really value the Mother of Runes that much? That you're going to give me a land, you're going to let yourself get wastelanded as well? Holy shit. Was Containment Priest really your draw for turn? That's fucking tilting. Cool. Alright, we're starting the stream on tilt. My opponent played very poorly. They made egregious sequencing errors and terrible decisions in both games, and it didn't matter. Alright. Cool, cool, cool. His hand doesn't really do much. Opponent has been playing Cloud Post recently, in which case this stuff doesn't do much. I'm just going to mulligan. This hand is at least aggressive. We're going to play Thalia into Aspirant, and beat our opponent to death. That is the plan. The plan is always kill the opponent. You don't have to tell me that. I know. I know. I have played just enough games of Magic where I know to kill my opponent. Next turn's gonna suck! I think I want to diversify my threats for, like, Maze of Ith sorts of reasons, rather than build one giant monster. In the game Magic the Gathering, if you reduce your opponent's life total to 0, you win. Cool. This is why we've diversified, right? Stuff like this. Wait, hold on, is that it? Is this all that's happening this turn? I'm gonna lose Illuminar Aspirant, and then I'm gonna kill your Planeswalker? When that token leaves the battlefield. uh, Pretty sure I just blink that token still. Kill the Planeswalker. Or, There's actually a handful of ways to play this turn. I think attacking the Cloud Post is one of the worst ways. But I could just use Swords of Plowshares. No, I don't think I want to use Swords of Plowshares. I think my life total is super relevant. I don't think I'm going to beat a sweeper, so I'm okay with committing another card to the board here. I think I'm going to need my mana more than my opponent. Like, my opponent has multiple mana rocks already. So let's turn Thalia into a 5/5. That can kill Ugin. That can go face. That can go face. So, Fairy Conclave, hypothetically, if we wasteland a Cloud Post, my opponent still has 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana next turn. We're going to beat most things that aren't like an All Is Dust. We can maybe beat an Ulamog. Oh, we're just going to get Emrakul. Emrakul is not the best for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can leave myself with 1 permanent. I could bounce it, but then they'll recast it. All right. I will play a Path for big dumb idiots. I will play a Recruiter. Play another Apparition. That's probably it. Just because you lose to something doesn't mean that the play you did was wrong. About the only other thing I could consider boarding in is Sanctum Prelate, but it's kind of a crapshoot since a lot of their higher CMC cards are at varied costs and some of them are creatures. I will be right back. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of background noise. Just wanted to get rid of that. You all probably can't hear it, but I can hear it. I don't love this hand. Port alone without a vial isn't all that impressive. Cool. I don't really want to be going 2-5 in this matchup. I don't have much of a choice in the matter, though. Well, Fairy Conclave, if you're just porting your opponent and you're not... God damn it. And you're not actually progressing your gameplay by playing other cards, it doesn't look that impressive, right? So, like, this Ether Vial is going to get shut off, right? And then we're going to have a Rishadan port. If I spend 2 of my mana tapping my opponent's Ancient Tomb, I do nothing to actually be working towards winning the game. So, Rishadan port in the opening hand, not really all that impressive as a means of mana denial in this matchup. Unless you have Vial. Or unless you have something else like Thalia or a Wasteland to supplement it. Alright, we're basically on the same plan as last time, where, like, we're going to play a threat, and then we're going to play 2 of these, and we're going to see if we can close out the game before my opponent gets to, like, 7 or 8 mana. Depends on what the rest of the hand looks like. Good God, this hand is aggro. Man, if this Vial wasn't going and I got another one of those in this turn, and, like, I was getting a port... Oh, cool. So we're probably just facing down some big unbeatable card next turn. That's cool. At this point, does it make more sense to port? 6 versus 8 mana next turn. It's a relevant difference. I think I have to port. And then once they tap this, I can play this. Oh, I do exactly have a 3-turn clock. Good call. The math changes a little bit if the Ancient Tomb gets tapped. But porting still probably ends up being correct the vast majority of the time. This makes a removal spell better for my opponent, but it lets me sneak in 1 point of damage, and with my opponent having an Ancient Tomb, I think that's relevant. More than anything else, I'm likely to just lose both of these creatures and maybe one more creature to the Blast Zone. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Alright, you got something else big and scary? Yeah, all his dust is not bad. But that was just a 1-for-1. There are worlds where my Luminarch Aspirant gets to attack for 4 next turn. Draw a white source, play this, junk this, file this in, add 2 counters, attack for 4. So if my opponent ends up tapping their Ancient Tomb, I could potentially lethal them next turn with this. Cool. My kingdom for a white source here. Holy crap. That was not the ensnaring bridge that I was expecting. I just get Mycos and Flatus locked here, and I'm dead. Looking at Loam. What the hell is this? Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay. So I guess I search the flashers that? If nothing else for tempo reasons, because I have, like, a 2-drop to play next turn. I think I'm going to play a Stoneforge Mystic first. And I think this is just going to be a bait for a removal spell. I have a feeling that putting sort of Feast and Famine on something a little bit later in this match is going to be quite strong. Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. I just wanted my opponent to spend their turn removing that. So next turn we're going to get to put in Batterskull and start scaling with a Luminarch Aspirant as well. I love it. Can't be blocked with creatures with power 2 or less. Okay, so I can't block that. I was trying to figure out, like, are you going to crop rotation me? Wasteland. Wasteland is why I'm not getting cute with any of my lands. I get to untap all of my lands and hit for 7 and make my opponent discard a card. The hell is this? Okay. Honestly, I think the plan is just Swords to Plowshares this, but I don't need to do it immediately. Let's put this into play and port them, and then Swords to Plowshares this, their end of turn. Jazzy, that event confuses me to no end because the event is called Grand Finals, and, like, the entire event is called Grand Finals, not the Grand Finals, as in the final match of it is called Grand Finals. It seems like that was a poor name. I think I'm supposed to diversify here. Plays around an Abrupt Decay hitting me a little bit better. Oh, a Lightning Bolt! Alright, so the Sword of Feast and Famine looked like a joke when I was facing down True Name, but against this deck, it looks pretty good. I would not have shown me Thespian Stage here. Absolutely not in the face of Caracas and Rajadinport. I did not know that the Dark Depths combo was in that deck. Now I know. I like additional removal spells. I like this. I like this. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing that some of this stuff is probably good as well. Like, I don't know if there's still going to be something like a Punishing Firelock in there. I don't have enough data about this matchup to know how I should board. I saw Game 1 Plague Engineers, which means there's probably more of them. My opponent is also playing a lot of spot removal, though, and Mom's good against the spot removal, but bad against the Plague Engineers. I don't see Jitte being super great. I can see myself trimming a couple of humans, just so Plague Engineer on human stings a little bit less, and trying something like this. And then once I have a better feel for my opponent's deck, I'll know whether or not I need to board in these. I don't think I'm super worried about Brushfire Elemental. Like, I'll block it. I'll remove it. I don't think I need to be fetching equipment specifically for Brushfire Elemental. Like, could be wrong, but I don't know that our opponent is really an aggro matchup. Our opponent has Abrupt Decay. Oh, please play like a knight right into my Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, get no value out of that. Done deal. Oh, I guess I'm not blocking this, right? Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I think because of their curve, it's probably correct to do that. I don't think that's an error. I call that a win for me. We're very much ahead in this game right now, even though I really have nothing going on. Am I willing to drop the shields on Thalia? I don't think I'm willing to drop the shields on Thalia to play this Vial that I just drew. So opponent has crop rotation, I guess? And they want me to attack in with Thalia, and then they'll crop rotate, and I'll just bounce Thalia? I'm in? Yeah, but I wouldn't have done that, Xylophone. I absolutely would not use Stoneforge Mystic to get a Jitte in this situation. Getting the Wasteland is pretty aggro. Oh my god, I get to use my mana in my main phase? I did not think that was going to be a thing that was going to happen. Like, if they were getting Wasteland, I thought I was just getting Wastelanded. And that was that. I think I'm going to replay the Thalia and try to port them. They either Wasteland my port, or I get to port down their swamp. And I'm good with either one of those situations. Alright. We're going to grab a Sword of Feast and Famine, and it is probably going to be exceptionally good. I would like to stop drawing Ether Vials, though. Pug and the Herd, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. No, we're only going to cast one Ether Vial. Rashad Porting is very good here. I need to close the door on this game before my opponent can, like, randomly make a Merit Lodge or something like that. Wow, my opponent has a lot of power. I have nothing to do with my mana. Well, I guess that's not true. I can, like, re-equip the Sword of Feast and Famine to Stoneforge Mystic. Wow, we hit another Elvish Reclaimer there. This is a very weird sort of sword and shield game that I've got going on here. All right. That was a weird one. Opponent was on quite the brew. Did not look impressive from this side of the battlefield. But, like, they kind of bottomed out. Into play, the list was really bad. Just being honest with you. The list was incredibly awkward and tripped all over itself. The VOD will go up to YouTube later. I don't think I uploaded it yet. I can upload that in the background while I'm working on Monday. But I just totally forgot to do it today. The green just felt like it made the list less consistent, not more consistent, which was kind of the idea of the green splash. It's okay. Like, we did a couple of really cool dumb things that were pretty hilarious, but there were a lot of mulligans and a lot of uncastable cards. This hand might be a mulligan. Doesn't really do anything despite having lands and spells. Like, Mom plus this is not super good, and I don't have the mana to cast this. I don't have a vial to really go all in on Rashad Port type stuff. This hand's way better. We'll toss back the sword. I think putting this vial into play is more important than removing that on site. Seeing my opponent lead on Savannah makes it more likely that they are something like a Maverick style deck rather than. Please? Okay. That's actually pretty good. rather than something like traditional elves that just happens to have a savannah for a Gaddock Teeg or something. This turn's really awkward. I'm going to play Athalia. So, it's been a long time talking about my reasoning here. The short side of it is that I would kind of like my opponent to go crazy and try to do something like produce a Merit Lodge. And then I just get to get them. Ooh. That's a little punishing. No, I don't really think our opponent's Maverick exactly. I think they're a dedicated green-white depths deck. Yeah, Flagstones is not something that I was expecting. Is this the cycle land? Yes. Oh, okay. There's a world where I'm not supposed to put this in now, so that I can redeploy Thalia in this same turn cycle, but I don't think that's a fight that I really want to be trying to win long term. Presumably, I'm going to lose this to a Valakut trigger next turn, and then I'll source the Plowshares, the stupid green idiot that makes Valakut good, and then move on with my life. Dryad of the Illusion Grove, that's it. Yeah, yeah, everything's going fine. Yep. I really didn't want them to have a second land to play. Hopefully that breaks off their hand a bit. I'm probably just dead unless I remove this turn. Yeah, let's just scoop it up. The Elvish Reclaimer can just go and search up dudes, or not dudes, lands, and then that triggers this. Let's play Path. Let's play Rest in Peace. Let's play another Apparition. Call that good. Actually, I'll probably play this as well. It's going to probably drag on long enough that that's fine. Thalia's legendary status is awkward, and it's also taxing my important removal spells, and my opponent has access to tutorable Caracas. I'm leaning towards Thalia not being great. From there, I'm a little bit less sure. Doesn't exactly seem insane since some of the removal is going to be colorless. Jete doesn't exactly seem great because a bunch of their creatures that I would want to remove have big butts. What's my creature count if I try something like this? 22 acceptable? The Holy Batman, just trying out things. Sword of Feast and Famine has been very good for me as a sideboard card, so I'm trying it main deck. I think I want to threaten the Batterskull. I also don't necessarily want to just snap off Source of Plowshares at the very first opportunity because it's more important to remove like the Dryad. God damn it. Thinking to myself, like, they can't ramp. Would have to take a turn to go and find the flagstones, but they had it naturally. That's frustrating. I wonder how many flagstones this deck has. They might be on a full 4. Man, it would have been nice to have that vial. Yeah, they ramped once and were threatening to ramp again. Interesting. It would be real clutch to draw a land this turn. Oh, apparition. Now if they blow up their flagstones, they don't get a new land. There's presumably loam. We know there's Ramunap Excavator in there. Why does that fetch need to happen? Oh, diversifying for names? What do you have, like escape shift or something? A Primeval Titan. Sure. Cool. I'm sorry, folks, but I am just completely out of energy here. Like, that's basically a. Ugh. I don't mind losing if the games are interesting and there's good counterplay, but that's not really happening tonight. We've gotten skunked 3 rounds, and then we played against some sort of weird jank deck. See if we can close this one out with a more respectable match. It's also just like 4 rounds of playing a control deck in an hour and a half. So that's telling of how interactive the games have been. All right, so we're probably playing against Delver. If I get wastelanded, I'm going to die. If I don't get wastelanded, or if I draw another basic land, I'm in pretty good shape. Oh my god, we didn't lose the game on turn 2. That's really good. Yeah, all signs lead towards there being a banned and restricted update tomorrow, but in all likelihood it just touches on standard. That just like a desperation brainstorm to make a land drop? That's exactly what it was. It resolved. And seeing my opponent's desperation brainstorm last turn, that really makes me want to wasteland them. It feels really nice to have more live 2-drops than normal. And the aspirants have been very good. Very, very good. Goodbye, days. But Xylophone, don't take anything about these lists as being set in stone. Like all of these Sunday streams have been me experimenting with ideas more so than anything else. Again. Do you have a third days? Wow. Not that I would have played around that anyway, but there was an argument to attack with my Mother of Runes on that turn cycle, since I know they have a tropical island and I know they don't have another land, to keep myself even with the Delver. But if they top deck a red source and they have a lightning bolt in hand, then that line isn't good, so I didn't do it. My recruiter isn't actually all that good. This is fucking insane, though. I can't play this around Spell Pierce, which probably means I am supposed to play this. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'll just Swords to Plowshares next turn. Yep, that is the fourth days. Has to be Force of Will to answer this. I think I just want to blink my recruiter. We're not in any hurry to close this game. My opponent is not going to just like grab an Oko or something like that and beat me down. They don't have the mana to do that. I can reuse its ability, but I do give my opponent a token. Okay, so I think I like Paths and Rest in Peace. Cards are a little better than normal. I don't know that I'll board anything more than that. Probably not supposed to play Legion Angel on the draw. And then just trim like one creature. I mean, we haven't even resolved a Legion Angel this entire league, so no data. This hand is very good. And every hand where my opponent doesn't open on like Delver into Arcanist is just like a big breath of relief. That's also just a great draw. J-Mare has had a lot of dazes. I'm not saying that they're a talented super hacker that has figured out the algorithm and they know how to go and put the dazes on the top of the deck. But I'm not ruling it out. That's the 5th daze that we've seen in one game plus one turn. I don't know how I want to play this. I kind of want to resolve Mob and then Wasteland my opponent, because I'm pretty good on 2 lands. Alright, you got a Stifle? Hey, if I take a Brainstorm and a Daze out for a Wasteland, I'm good with that. I'm going to take the turn off here to cast Rest in Peace. Oh, nice. Alright. Dreadhorde Arcanist is no longer an issue. Tarmogoyf is no longer an issue. So now it's mostly Oko and Delver. Delver seems very beatable with Stoneforge and Thalia. Oko can eventually be beatable via Skyclave. This keeps them off of an Oko for a turn. Do you have a Spell Snare? You do. Pick the Batterskull here. I think this game goes long enough one way or another that I can eventually hardcast this Batterskull if my Stoneforge gets Oko'd or bolted. Yeah, we were playing against Rug Delver. I mean, they're probably just valuing their time. Uh, okay. We didn't really gather more data on Legion Angel. I guess I'll move the Sword of Feast and Famine back to the sideboard. Aspirants have been great. Skyclaves have been great. Um, Not a lot to say about that league. It was just like not interesting. Like we murdered the Delver player, kind of as expected. Now that we have more answers to the things that were previously beating us. I'm gonna take a couple of minutes and build something that I would actually recommend. So this is what I was playing previously before I started testing Legion Angel. I think I want that Revoker gone for a fourth Flicker Wisp. Not sure what I want to do with this slot. So these were taking up the slots before. Not super confident on this card right here. I don't know what that should be. It's possible it should be a 25th land. No, I don't like Canonist. Never liked Canonist main deck. Jailer's Garbo. Jailer's not a playable legacy card in this deck, I don't think. This could be Spirit, this could be Revoker, this could be a Giver. Yeah, 25th land isn't crazy either. I mean, the entire archetype of D&T. I do not think that card is playable currently. The only place it's good is the mirror, basically. Like, trying to resolve a 4-drop versus Delver is too hard. Snow has too many ways to take back the crown, and it's too slow versus combo decks. That leaves it bad against most of the format. What? Oh, other products, I see. Basic Plains is really good. Really, really good. Delver is the best deck in the format and the most popular deck in the format. And playing Canopy is bad against them because it loses you life and it's wastelandable. Like, it feels really good versus Snow, but I don't know. Goblins is a deck, Elves is a deck, the Mirror is a deck. Jitte's still totally respectable versus plenty of decks. Alright, this is V10. This is V10. Let's play a little bit more. I'm not going to finish this league, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like shit right now in terms of how this evening has gone, so let's play a little more. Let me update Cardboard Live. I think Sword of Feast and Famine is very good. I want that card in my 75. 100%. Like, it pushes through Plague Engineers, Elks, Icefang Coatls, Knight of the Reliquary. Like, it does a lot of work. It's also an equipment that's more relevant versus combo. That's like the tertiary reason, but a lot of times you're boarding out all of the Stoneforge Mystic package normally, or very close to it, because it just does nothing. And now, for the times where the Stoneforge Mystic package isn't great. Oh shit, does this version have 3 Stoneforges? That's what that last card should have been. I knew I felt like I had an extra slot. Alright, we're playing 3 Stoneforges in this league. Whoops. V11. Get that out, add one of those. Support of Soledad. I really love that card, but I think that card is only good when something like Blue-White Miracles is a top dog in the format, and those protection colors are relevant. That sword's very embarrassing versus Elks. Yeah, but I can't change my deck list. I've already submitted with this deck list. And I don't just want to incinerate play points. Rem, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. It's not that big of a deal. It's one card. Like, I think that card is absolutely the right power level for Legacy, but it's just not the time for it. The same is true of something like Brightling, where like it does the right things that you need a card to do, but it's just not an appropriate time for it. Alright, our opponent is mulliganing to Oblivion, and we've kept a fair hand, so we're going to lose game 1. So that's cool. Oh. Is it just like a fair deck that is mulligan this low? Because if this is something like Depths, I'm good. I'm set up to beat that. Alright, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm removing your Elvish Reclaimer on turn 1. Verdant Trop into that is a little weird. Opponent seemed F6 there, so I don't think they have Abrupt Decay, so I'm going to play out a Mom and a Vial rather than both Vials. Oh, you could be picking up my computer fan. Let me scoot that back. That'll probably help out with that. Yeah, do you know I have like a bajillion D videos on YouTube too? Because there's a bunch of stuff there that's super helpful. I have like legitimately no idea what my opponent is doing. I'm not gonna wasteland my opponent. I don't know if I'm walking into a crop rotation. I don't know if I'm like trying to beat a Merit Luge. I'm just gonna slow my roll. Alright. You wasteland me, I'll wasteland you, Pokemon. Well, yeah, that was kind of anticipated. I could have considered hardcasting Skyclave Apparition last turn to take out their Mox Diamond. Go ahead and do it now. What sort of abomination is my opponent playing? So they have Underground Sea, they have crop rotation, depths. They're like an old school bug lands deck. That's gross. That's just the insurance policy for anything. Maybe I'm supposed to put the counter on the other creature for Maze of Ith reasons. But I think I have lethal through that next turn very easily anyway. Black is for decay only. Okay. I'll believe you, but I'm also going to think about Plague Engineer. Because It's a black card that beats me. So Rest in Peace is going to be good. Surgical's probably going to be good. Path is probably fine. Sword of Feast and Famine is probably an upgrade over this. And then I'm unsure about some of this sort of stuff. Let's figure out what I don't want. I don't want this. I don't want this. I'm probably gonna drop the Thalias, just because it's easier for me to hold up 1 mana than 2. And I might trip over this a little bit. I'll probably drop a Mother of Runes. How many more do I need to cut? 3? I think I'm going to cut another human for Plague Engineer reasons. Maybe I don't bring in the bonus one of those. I don't know. Like, we might be facing down a pile of Okos. It can't be that wrong to leave that. Yeah, I kind of want to cut all of my moms for, like, Plague Engineer type reasons. I'm good with trading creatures for Abrupt Decays. This leaves me at 20 creatures, which is the bare minimum number of creatures that I consider acceptable. I think I'm good with this. Sabor de Soledad, you understand the issue. Yes, it's weird. It's a card that's simultaneously good and bad versus Plague Engineer, which is a really weird spot to be in. Do I Path to Exile this? That seems very awkward. I want to remove it. I don't want to let them tutor. Just super awkward if they do something like Oko next turn. Like, this spell looks great for them now. It's a 1 mana ramp spell. Why not Path on their upkeep? I might be playing scared. I don't know what their list looks like, so I don't know if they have spirit guides. Like, I don't know how fast they are. I also don't know if they're playing something weird like the stupid protection land. I am not familiar enough with the deck list to know optimal sequencing lines. This smells like Force of Vigor to me, so I'm not going to play Rest in Peace this turn. I'm just going to get a creature down. Brainstorm is not something that I really would have expected. I'm pretty good against the merit Lodge side of things, but I would be very bad against a life from the loam resolving. So I think I'm going to go ahead and jam this Rest in Peace now. Wasteland attack. You're just going to get a Thespian Sage and produce your Merit Lodge. I'm pretty good against that, so I'm good with that. So now they have to decide what they want to play around. Making it now plays around Wasteland, making it later plays around Flickerwisp better. Crop rotation or not of this world would be annoying. I think my clock is fast enough that I don't need to put the other creature in play. This is not a typical build. I don't want to claim that I understand what's going on the other side of the table when I clearly don't. Quantum, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. That's annoying. Nice. Jupiterborg. This one flies, which is relevant in some weird spots. I also think we're going to be putting more creatures in play, so it's not that big of a deal. That I don't play the fastest possible solo clock. We're going to play this now, specifically for Sajiri step reasons. Lol. Deal. Nice green card. Yeah, a lot of times if your clock is close between two things, it's more valuable to play the flyer. So take something like Rug Delver. Like if you just have something like a Thalia, a Tarmogoyf, a Hooting Mandrels, an Elk, a Dreadhorde Arcanist can go and block that, right? But if you play a Flicker Wisp instead, it's just like a Flip Delver that's going to block it. And similarly, a deck like that one could have all sorts of ground-based blockers, Blob, Bob, and Elvish Reclaimer being two of them, and the evasive Flicker Wisp has the ability to push damage more easily. Jadehem, keep in mind that our opponent mulled to 5 in game 1, and then had a bit of a clunker in that other game. So I don't think we got to see what their deck is really doing. We have a pretty good Vial hand. It's turn 1 Vial, turn 2 port them. This is a very bad hand versus combo, though. We're probably playing against, like, Ant or Doomsday, maybe. We have Stone Cold Nothing against those sorts of decks. That was definitely not Negator's build, I don't think. Now that deck looked something closer to maybe some things that like Lincoln Baxter III has played, like bug control lands. Please just pass the turn. Alright, cool. Our opponent mulliganed. I didn't make it to my turn too. I'm gonna go to the bathroom while my opponent's comboing off. Did I die yet? Yeah, I died. My opponent show me anything cool? No. Alright, let's board in like 11-ish cards. Yes. 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 You two are maybes. Start with the absolute no's. Swords to Plowshares out. Jitte out. Honestly, the Stoneforge the Stoneforge Mystic package isn't super impressive here. Then again, like Skyclave Apparition is also like kind of eh. So I could do that, and then that's 10 for 10. Or I could cut some of the apparitions. Could go like ya, ya, ya to 64. Apparition can randomly take LEDs that are played out, but otherwise is pretty mediocre. So is Stoneforge Mystic. Flicker Wisp also not insane. What does this look like? That's 22 creatures. I want to leave an apparition as a tutor target. Probably not. I don't think this hand actually wins, despite the fact that it has a hate card. Yeah, Massacre is probably in my opponent's deck, but there's a lot of hands that I'm going to need another white source for. And there's a very good chance I need 3 lands if I draw something like Sanctum Prelate or Recruiter of the Guard. Yeah, this is the problem with the Mindbreak Trap hand, that this hand also had 1 piece of Disruption. Brings down the whole house of cards. Cool. That was a bottom bottom. That's a good sign for me. Well, I have nothing to protect from Massacre, so... Yeah, I was really happy with how the sideboarding episode came off. When you put together the show notes, you have no idea whether you're going to put together a good or a bad episode. That one turned out really well. I'm so dead. My opponent has 7 cards now, 8 cards, and they're not playing lands, so it's just all gas in there. Alright. Massacre for Storm. We're very dead to Infernal Tutor. Infernal Tutor for Past in Flames, Cabal Writ, Dark Writ, Infernal Tutor, Tendrils. Cool, cool. What is taking so long? You can also just natural and fertile Tutor Chain and kill me. I'm just gonna concede. I'm gonna save myself the minute. It's just Tutor Tendrils. Yeah, we're gonna play taxes till I get pissed, and then we'll, like, I don't know, go to bed, install Magic Online, you know, whatever feels appropriate at the time. But the last league was pretty horrible, so want to at least try and play some reasonable Magic. Nope. I guess this is a fine 6-card hand. I mean, preaching to the choir on that one. So I have crop rotation to think about, but I think I'm just going to play Plains and play Mother of Runes. The absolute scariest thing that my opponent can do is just go Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, make a Merit Lodge immediately, and if they do that, I just Caracas. Oh, Daddy. Daddy wants to bounce a Merit Lodge. Let me do it. I guess I play Wasteland this turn and just pass. We're going to be an awkward staring contest for a little while. Go for it, Jim. Do I get to do anything there? If I respond, they just make the Merit Lodge, so I can't do that. It's fucking frustrating. Alright. Alright, cool. No, they had the crop rotation, so if I would have wastelanded on turn 1, I would have gotten got that way. Alright, let's play Path. Let's bring this in. This is probably awkward at sorcery speed. I'll probably bring this in. Yeah, Caracas and Wasteland were functionally identical there. Let's take a Jitte out. I think I still want to shave a Stoneforge. On the play, I can leverage my Thalias a bit. It's awkward. Maybe I shave, but don't cut Thalias. Oh, hold on, I forgot to take out Sword of Fire and Ice. Maybe that. Let's try that. His hand doesn't do anything. His hand also kind of doesn't do anything, but I think this is a keep. I think the apparition is going back over the port. I'm not sure. Because I assume I'm going to fire this off at some point, so I do want extra lands. The apparition just will be really good if my opponent has like a Bob hand. Yeah. Let's keep something that's good against Bob. Opponent has gone to 5 cards. 4 cards. They're taking this long to think about it. They're probably not keeping like Dark Depths, Petal Hexmage. So that's good news. Yeah, ownership of a paper legacy deck is a big deal. Like, when you finally build and own your first one and you can actually play in sanctioned legacy events, it feels good. Uh, Unfortunately, most of us are not currently in the position where we can go to a shop and actually play. Because, you know, pandemic things. That was one of my best possible draws there. It's just a nice safety net. What is opponent thinking about? Is this like them considering whether or not they want to blow an Abrupt Decay on this? Do I want the Wisp in play? I think I want that Flyer in play. Play Wisp, Blink, Wasteland, Wasteland stage, attack for 3, then 7, then 8. Actually, it'll be more than that because of the other Luminarch Aspirant. Lol, my opponent can sacrifice it to remove the counters from my aspirant. Sorry. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Ye Old Elvish Spirit Guide. I think I'm just going to 2-turn clock my opponent in the air. Actually, I'm good with trading this for that. Man, Aspirant is such a good threat. I know the 89 of you who are here have probably already figured that out, but like every time I post about this card somewhere, like everyone shits on me and they're like, yeah, I don't really see what it does. I'm not going to bother to test it. And I just like gesture wildly at hours of video footage of Aspirant just getting out of control and closing games extremely quickly. We're keeping a hand that has a removal spell for a Merit Lodge. The rest of the hand is mediocre, but my opponent is mulliganing into Oblivion most of the time. I think they're looking for very specific things. And I'm just going to keep a solid hand that can answer a Merit Lodge. I'm not even familiar with XJ's copy pasta. Opponent going to 4. LOL! I think I want the life gain over discard. I'm sorry, Harry. Really and truly, I am sorry. I mean, that whole XJ Cloud copy pasta has been said by someone who is refusing to test a card that a good portion of the community says is good. So, like, I absolutely respect XJ Cloud as a player, and I think he plays very well. But Aspirin is gas, and he needs to shut up and test it. That's my opinion. So, is your last card crop rotation? That's the way that this makes sense, right? Your last card is crop rotation. Might as well make you blow it now. Oh, wow. Goodbye, swords. This makes a difference in terms of clock, and my opponent knows that I have one, but they don't know that I drew a second. So I'm just going to play this out as a creature. And then if they drop a Bob or something like that, I just remove it afterwards. Oh, Skyclave Apparition is insane. Like, I don't follow other formats, but I assume that thing is tearing apart Modern in modern D&T. And I don't know, like, Standard's a mess. I am pretty sure the only viable deck is the Omnath deck, so I don't know if it's doing cool things there. And your Sapphic Mistress, thank you very much for following, as well as keeping chat lively. I have a pretty good balanced opening hand here. CHR feels about right. I want to draw Aspirant in most games, but I don't need it in my opening hand every time, so that makes me feel like about 3 is the correct number. We're playing against Black-Red Reanimator here. My opponent is just going to go like Entomb, Idiot, and I've lost. So I'm going to play the Aether Vial, under the hope that that's maybe not true. Well, whatever we're playing against, I like my odds much better than when I thought this was Black-Red Reanimator. The cuddliest hate bear. Ooh, that's a good question. What is up with these fetch lands? Arid Mesa, Bloodstained Mire? So like these are intentionally chosen fetch lands, right? Because fetch lands are basically no cost on Magic Online. So it's not a budget thing. These were chosen. So that's interesting. Oh god, my Thalia resolved? Oh, Swords plus mom? I want that thing out of play because I'm going to try to ride Jete to victory. Okay, that means that next turn I can go Jete equip in one turn cycle. So I'm actually really happy about that. So I think we're going to play Aspirant. Just going to make Thalia a little bit harder to remove. We'll attack on in. Port that down. Okay. What? It's turn 5 and they daze, so they've played their land. This is just me eating one of their creatures for free. Hmm. Look, if they have main deck Pyrokinesis, they can have it. Here? Here? Maybe here. No, card's great. Let's see if we just lose to Muxus this turn. Cool. Muxus hit very well. They got a munitions expert and a war chief. I wouldn't be surprised if opponent just goes sack, sack, and kill this now. That's what I would do. Because otherwise it gets a third counter on it. So now they're going to munitions expert and kill my mom, and then I'll port them. No, I don't think I can recover from here. Maybe with a recruiter, but like I know my opponent has two more creatures that are very relevant in the bin. I believe I am just dead to Sling Gang. But if I just double port, I'm at 1, and then any one of my opponent's creatures dying also kills me. Yep. Cool. Magic is fun and interactive, and that's why we play it. Let's play CJ, Skyclave, and both paths. Somewhere all of the Thalias are going to be what's coming out. I think all. Uh, Sounds good against Lackey, but terrible against a Vial. I'm going to try to find my own Vial hand, which I succeeded in doing. Yep, very glad we didn't keep the first hand now. Do I Wasteland? I don't think I Wasteland. I think I put Aspirin into play here. Start generating a large-ish body that can wield my Jitte effectively. The next turn I can Stoneforge, cast Jitte, and Wasteland. That's probably better. Like, having large creatures is nice in this matchup because a lot of goblins removal is situational based on creature size and number of goblins controlled. Sure. I don't know if anyone's actually eating things out of the ether vial. That's unclear to me. Drinking. Just put it on the aspirant. It's going to be pretty hard to kill the aspirant in combat. I think I'm just going to put it on the aspirant and hold back Stoneforge as a blocker for Goblin Lackey if things go wrong. Because they can go wrong. Oh, I am not a flavor person. But looking at this picture, I don't know that I want to take a swig of that. Put port into play. Do the vial. Hold back for bluffs. Hold back so I can cast 3 drops. I don't know that my opponent can wasteland me this game. I think I'm going to go ahead and cast this. Most flavorful is Allosaurus Rider, which is just elves who make soup out of dinosaur to feed other elves and make them super strong. That's what's going on there? Yeah, I'm not even sure that I try to kill Goblin Lackey here. There's a world where I do, because ticking it up to 3 could represent a lord. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to live in fear of this creature all game. Also, just keeping the goblin count low for like Gem Palm Incinerator type of reasons is pretty good. Sure, Matron is fine. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. That's a little punishing if my opponent has Pyrokinesis. MTG Taxes, thank you very much for following. So my opponent is going to block my aspirant and then blow up Jitte. My Stoneforge attack is basically free this turn, because my opponent really can't allow me to get Jitte counters. I think also to diversify, maybe put a counter on Stoneforge this turn. Although if I put a counter here, then it can't be Pyrokinesis anymore. Maybe that's big game. Is opponent doing something else? Really? That's... Really? That's worth taking 5? That is so incredibly surprising to me. So now my opponent will just Matron for Muxus and try to do that 2 turns from now and win the game with it. Nope, Sling Gang. I have a threat that is just going to be lethal if it connects, but this is a lot of blockers, unfortunately. So I'm going to be looking for an evasive creature to pair with this, or a Mother of Runes to push it through. Alternatively, Stoneforge for Sword of Fire and Ice will also be lethal. It's legitimately hard for me to tell whether or not opponent is actually thinking about something or whether like opponent is double queuing or equivalent. Yup. One, two, three, four, five, six. Tilt. That's what opponent was thinking about. Well, I guess I don't have to concede, right? Or not? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. No, I am dead. Cool. That's a little disappointing. Like, kudos to opponent for finding a way to kill Luminarch Aspirant. I don't know how many turns they were setting that up for. Their long pauses might have been like Luminarch Aspirant counter math versus how many goblins they were going to have at a given time. Danny boy, thanks for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. We have a pretty decent fair hand. But this will do nothing versus a combo deck. This is a hand that would look pretty good against Delver, but like pretty meh versus a control deck or a combo deck. We'll see what happens. Alright, so we're probably playing against Delver, in which case, like, we have a lot of gas and a lot of the cards that we're looking to see in the matchup. So assuming we don't get just, like, rolled by turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist, maybe we're good. That probably doesn't bode well for me. That makes me think not Delver. That makes me think like blue-green show and tell instead. So they're fetching to play around something weird, like an Arbiter or a Mind Sensor off Ancient Tomb. This is probably going to be end of turn Impulse. I think I just need to port them. Yeah, my hand is stone cold nothing versus this deck though, and it's not going to get better for post sideboard games, really. Like, there we're super reliant on Sanctum Prelate. So that probably means they have actual factual sneak attacks as well. No, the apparition is pretty terrible. They cast Show and Tell, they put in Grizzlebrand. I have a 2/2. That does nothing to Grizzlebrand. It's pretty bad. We're gonna send this mom sideways. I need to close out this game. We're also pretty unlikely to run into game one removal outside of Cunning Wish. What on earth? We were clearly in control of that game, and our opponent has decided to concede. They probably brainstorm locked themselves and just felt like they were so unlikely to win that they wanted to concede. All right, deafening silence in this in these in could play mind breaks. They're awkward. Could play path to exile. It's better than Swords to Plowshares in most cases. This is kind of the maybe pile. Jitte is pretty bad. Let's assume that I'll trim. I just want to junk all of those. Maybe I'll junk all of those. Junk a Stoneforge. This leaves me at 23 creatures. Skyclave Apparition can be a tutor target that answers a show and tell that's put into play. I don't know if that's better or worse than just playing one more Stoneforge Mystic, honestly. I'm going to keep it. Every once in a while, the deck plays something like a Blood Moon that I might want to answer. I don't think it's the worst to keep one as a tutor target. Eep. Last game, my opponent fetched a lot of non-basics. If that continues, this hand is very good, and if that doesn't continue, this hand is very bad. We're not hoping to tag anything off of Show and Tell with Apparition. That's unrealistic. It could just be like a sneak attack. It was a top. Alright, we drew one of our best cards. In a bit of trouble if this doesn't resolve. But I knew that keeping this hand. Ooh. This Mindbreak Trap isn't particularly good. But it can get us out of some spots that involve like Show and Tell for Omniscience. I don't think I show Wastelands this turn. My ports are really good here. Oh, non-basic. Oh, baby, yes. We're gonna probably have time to actually make it to Sanctum Prelate off of Vial. These are aggressive brainstorms. Holy crap. I don't know. I guess my opponent did top with that Preordain. Tomb? I think Waste Tomb. Keep Volcanic Island tapped down. I assume this is going to get like Show and Tell, Show and Tell, Show and Tell. It is. Big way. Good effort. We could talk about some of the grammar specifics, but not too bad. We're not going to be attacking with the Mom this time because the Sanctum Prelate on 3 is going to be really good. And so I don't want to randomly get like Pyroclasmed this turn. Yeah, then I call that pretty darn good for one semester of Latin. It was close enough that I knew what you wanted to say. No, I didn't study with Reggie in Rome. I taught myself all the spoken Latin that I did. The show and tell has been cut off. I assume next I just do 4 for sneak attack and call it good. Oh my god, we won the match versus Sneak and Show, or Omnitel, whatever you want to call it these days. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to submit with a 4th Stoneforge Mystic over the Giver. Um, that felt fine, but like so many of my games today were just like no no agency, just get wiped by something completely outside of my control matches, and I don't love that. I don't think I have too much to say. I've kind of been spewing things as I've been going on. As always, Luminarch Aspirant is continuing to impress. It's just like very, very good. It's so nice to have a good aggressive 2-drop that I can play. Stacking up counters on it is great. It's especially good on the evasive flyers. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and call that good. All right, I will be back again streaming sometime soon. I hope you all are having a good day. If you are enjoying this Death and Taxes content and you want to see it continuing, please consider doing something to support the channel, whether that is donating, doing a donation deck list, subscribing, all that sort of jazz. If this is your first time here for Legacy, please consider following. I'm streaming Legacy usually 3 days a week. Have a good rest of the day.